Robin Hood open. Coffee cold. Brain smooth. Let's lose some money and
9:29, feeling like a genius. Future's green, yeah, this move is obvious. Chart looks clean, bias bulletproof. Just need one candle, famous last truth. SPY calls full port, no fear. We clean now, 0 days left here. Risk management left the chat, but the vibes are strong, so we all in that. Domes moving, heart rate too. IV juice like Mountain Dew. Theta smiling, says nice trade. Clock's ticking while my premium fades. Welcome to the options. 0 days left, but the dopamine lethal. One green wick, life goes sequel. One red tick, ramen noodles. Spin that wheel, let it ride. Full port Friday, no downside. House don't cheat, it just knows. Expiration comes for all of us. Midday chop, PTSD up 10%. Didn't sell. Now I'm down 40. This game is hell, just consolidation. That's what I said. While theta slowly eats my bread. Reddit post, hold the line. Guy with 400 acting divine. One dude hits 10,000 X. Bid ask why it feels feel fake. Market makers need my break. I was right, but early too. Same thing here, you already knew. Welcome to the options. The scene, no odds are fake, but the hope is real though. Chart don't matter, news don't matter. Just vibes, prayers and a candle. Spin that wheel, place that bet. Screenshot games you'll never get. Legends born, accounts cremated. All by 4, eliminated.
place your bets. No refunds. Time decay is undefeated. Good luck, degenerates.
Full port. Blood calls. Who but calls? Who held to 0?
Yeah, me too.
Power hour madness. 3:30 hope still alive. Just need a move like 0.25. One last candle, one last shot. This thing's about to RIP. It's not. Twitter screaming, Reddit praying. Someone's rich, someone's complaining. Bell rings loud, screen goes black. Contract worth less than a tic tac. Big dumb to the options, the seed of dreams expire same day as the people. You can be right and still be 0. Ask me how, I'm a professional. Spin that wheel, dopamine drip. Rent too soon, but let it rip. Theta wins, we don't learn. I see you Monday, let's get burned.
I wasn't wrong. I just ran out of time. See you tomorrow.
Look. Some markets you chase, some markets you trust, and some you never let meet your family.
Good morning, party people. So what happened to the market? It's looking different today. Interesting. How are y'all doing this morning? We've got Andy R and Miss K beat Ranchbot to the chat. Love that. Mike is here. Mike check. Mike made it. We can start now. Mike's here. We got Tony B. Good morning. Ski Trader. Good morning. Leah. My girl. She's here. With accessories, I'm sure. Isaiah. Good morning. Up early, really early? How early is it there? 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, my guy. Good morning. So yeah, I got the charts up. A little bit different this morning. We got a big old candle here. We got a big old gap on dollar and the VIX. So yeah, if you miss the news, I don't know how you can miss the news. Who are we joking here? So this was 2 hours last night, 2 hours before the 8 p.m. Eastern deadline is when all of the action happened in the futures market. We had the US and Iran finally agreed to a ceasefire brokered by Pakistan, announced literally just a couple hours before the deadline. So this is a 2-week ceasefire. It's not everything's good. Of course, when is everything good in the Middle East? Anyway, so on a conditional basis, Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz. And I think that's really what the market's reacting to. I think the market cares less about the drama between Trump and whoever is in control of Iran this hour. And the market cares a lot more about the Strait of Hormuz. We'll talk about that a little bit. But the crude, so we also had crude. Oh, I don't have that one pulled up. We'll go to, let's hope this chart's not crazy right now. It's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. So crude has been on a bit of a roller coaster. We had made highs up back here. We had made highs up to 115. I'm on a 1 minute. What in the heck? 115, then we ended up getting all the way up to 117, and then this big drop on crude is the reaction. So everything's happy except for crude, and that's because it's a supply and demand situation. So so we got dollar fell from 117 down to 93. That's the biggest single day drop in 6 years. So since COVID on crude there. So pretty crazy. Oh, we've got another attack. So Leah's over here watching the situation desk, I imagine. Yeah, we do have some volatility. We'll talk about the charts here. So we've got the ceasefire for 2 weeks, and the idea behind that was if Iran agrees to a complete, immediate, safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, they agreed. So that's what we're talking about. So the reason that I'm saying that this is more important to the market than Trump news. The Strait of Hormuz move is more important, or news is more important, because about 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So it's reopening right now, and that's going to unwind a lot of pricing in of, like I just showed you on this oil chart, where oil had been up, and now, I mean, basically just full unwind instantly there on oil. But the other part of that is that's going to be helpful to the underlying stocks in the stock market, because not just oil, but everything else now can get through the Strait of Hormuz. So that was 20% that crude fell in a couple minutes. So the idea behind the Strait of Hormuz being open is that takes a lot of inflation pressure off. So I wasn't real worried about rate hikes, but folks were. So that takes that kind of rate hike idea off the table. So the Asian markets are up 4 to 6% overnight. European futures up 5%, and ES and NASDAQ is up a bit as well. You can see it by this little bitty baby candle there. Tech was really punished by energy inflation and geopolitical uncertainty and all that. So tech is doing really, really well. So I don't know about y'all, but I looked at my long term this morning and I'm feeling a lot better because I have a lot of tech in there. The warning thing about this is that the ceasefire is technically kind of fragile. So there's a little bit of ambiguity in these statements. So if 2 weeks passes without a deal, we're going to start getting a different reaction from the market. So we've got the immediate risk off, which is what this candle is, but the deal is temporary. So we're going to have to kind of be careful about that in the trading plan, which we'll get to in just a second. Right before that, I just wanted to touch on the important news for today. And we had durable goods yesterday, not a big reaction. I've talked about all week. CPI is the biggest one of the week, followed by GDP and PCE. The other big thing we have for today is FOMC meeting minutes at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm not going to be trading that anyway, so it doesn't matter. But the idea then will be that we're going to see what the actual Fed members were concerned about and happy about going into that rate decision, which could be a little bit interesting. It's probably not going to be as interesting as it was during Biden's terms when we were actually just trying to get the rate down from the highs. All right, so let's talk about the levels. That was kind of our minefield map. It's pretty clear today. We don't have anything till FOMC minutes later. There is something a little bit interesting that I wanted to kind of touch on. So yesterday we had a massive expected move on the ES, 130 points or something. Of course, what was this move? This move was really from here. 166 up to 195. So we even beat that with this news move. The thing is, the expected move is calculated based on the VIX. And so the VIX was up here in the upper 20s. Now it's down at 20. So that's a big crush on the VIX. And since the VIX is involved in calculating the IVs, the implied volatility, and the implied volatility is involved in calculating the expected move. What that means is now that the VIX is crushed, our expected move is crushed also. So we're staring down this big ass candle, 150 points on ES, even bigger on NASDAQ, and thinking, oh, maybe are we going to get another big move? I'm thinking that we could end up having a little bit more digestion today, unfortunately. And that's because of that expected move being the way that it is. So, to this comment, we had 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 said traders love volatility but not hyper volatility. That was what we had last night, hyper volatility. We had traders in the Discord making $800 on micros in like a quick little move and then paper handing it. It was crazy. So we do want some volatility, yes, because we want the market to move. But we were doing just fine when ES was moving 30 points in a day too. That might kind of be where we are today. But the way that I look at these data moves, I don't want to ramble too long, but I am going to stream tomorrow. So if we want to talk about this kind of thing longer, that's what tomorrow's for. But what I like to do is there's a few different ways that people do Fibonacci's on these big moves like that. I think it's the most valuable tool because a lot of people are using it. I go from the hourly low, basically where that news came out. This was a really quiet night. Everything was normal. The market was happy here. And then it shot all the way up to here before retracing. This is the way I think about this. And I want to explain that a little bit because, here, let's turn this off for a second. Some people will take the Fibonacci from all the way down here at the low of the previous day. Some will take it from the consecutive candle low. And it's going to give you a little bit different results. At the same point, those same people that are a little bit more generous with their fibs are going to go all the way to the pre-market high. And so these lines are going to kind of end up in a similar spot, but not exact. When we have a data move, I fib the data move. So it's not really the full high or low, but it's the full, it's the volatility, it's the news move, which we'll have a little bit after. So what I'm looking at when I look at these news moves and thinking, the market's probably a little bit more likely to digest today, is we very often get a golden pocket pullback, and that golden pocket pullback will tell us a lot about how the market is pricing in this move. So a pullback is pretty normal. We're going to be gapping up in the equities market. So SPY is going to be opening up here with this big old gap below. Are we going to get the gap fill? Bears are going to be wondering that. The most likely gap fill is 50%. So that's going to be right here around 67.35. If this is really good news, it's probably not going to get that low. It's going to test some of these higher fibs like 67.55, 67.80 basically there. So when we add the levels back to that, that's kind of where I'm framing this. If we get below the 50%, that's bearish. We're going to probably retrace this whole gap. But if we're holding the 50%, the 382, or even up here, that full gap fill is a lot less likely. So I put the levels back on. I had a magnet level. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. I had a magnet level up here that's also at our taco high. There's a lot of congestion right here in the 67.40s. That's also going to be in our golden pocket, the top half of our golden pocket between 35 and 55, 45, right? So that's going to be a major spot of support that I'm watching. So if we start losing up here, the 68.15, this is going to be kind of the main target. On the way, we've got 67.66 and this 67.80, which is this fib, this first fib. So we're potentially going to be looking for, if we get a short going through there, that's potentially where we're going to be looking. Because this is bullish and I'm kind of a bullish trader anyway, a lot of the times the thing that I like to do is wait and see where this drops, because we'll start getting some curling candles at some point down here. Could be it's at 80, could be at the 66, 67, could be down here around 45, but that's what I'm going to be looking at. So if this pricing is going to be held and digested, this is the main area here where I'm looking for it to be digested. If we get below this area, then that's, I mean, really it's going to be because we're nervous about this 2-week actual ceasefire happening. And as long as the ceasefire is on and everything is good, nothing has changed, I'm expecting this fib zone to hold. So if we end up getting continuation, I think the most likely is that we end up spending a lot of the day inside of here. If we get the continuation, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is this pre-market high. So that's at 68.47 1/4. So if the bulls really want to take charge, if we're holding way up here around this 80 level and can't even retrace into the golden pocket, everything's just really optimistic, and we're going to have a continuation day, this is going to be the hardest level to get through up here. But then we have some targets up here. These are older targets. These are levels that we kind of abandoned from a few weeks ago. And kind of the main spot up there is 68.90 to 6900. If we start getting beyond that, we're going to be in a squeeze and the levels aren't going to matter that much. But that is kind of potentially what we have going on there. Again, my most likely scenario is that we come in here and retrace this. This orange is an old weekly gap from a few weeks ago. I usually label these. I didn't, sorry. But we do have a lot of supply in here for the market to come test before it can really feel good about this move. All right, I'm gonna catch up on chat a little bit here. We got KJ30 Smart Prop Trading. Thanks for joining today. Who else we got? Jared Taylor. Yeah, the long terms are feeling good. They're feeling good. And I was, even yesterday, I was still kind of loading up on some things. I have a dividend portfolio. So I was loading up on some dividend stuff that I hadn't gotten fully done. And I'm glad I did. Of course, in hindsight, should have bought more. But that's the kind of thing that I do when the market is downturning. We did have a little bit of stock specific news. We had so much to talk about here, I didn't really get to that part. But we have, this one. So I pulled out GoPro because it's had a little bit of news this morning. Let me see if I can find it. So the shares are down, underperforming the S&P 500. But they are having some layoffs to potentially help with that. So let's look at this on like an hourly. This is one that is kind of on my watch list because they're down, but they are doing layoffs to potentially address this. So this might be one to put in the long term, potentially see if we can get, because even if it just tests these highs, that's a pretty nice move. The other one that is kind of on my watch list today is FedEx, because they're holding an investor event ahead of this June 1st deadline where they're going to be talking about future growth and things. And when I look at this chart, you know, there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of support here, and we've got highs up here. So if they end up having good news, I don't know, this is just an idea that I'm going to look at after the open here to see if I can get something interesting. I'm going to see if there's any good order flow basically happening on FTX or GoPro, something that the big guys know that I don't. How long have you... Okay. I'm going to answer some questions, and then after that, I'm going to hop off. I got to go get my kids completed and off to school. And then I'll be back for the open. Today I'm going to trade the open in Discord. Tomorrow I'm going to do a second live here on YouTube, so turn notifications on to get that. So you should put a a V wrap on that section and see what that says as well on the news candle. I'll look into it. The fibs have treated me very well. I've got a lot of different little fib plays I'll do on the news candle. So how long have you been trading the opening range, Barbie? That was one of the first plays I learned how to do, especially with futures and even with some 0DT options. So I've been trading it a long time, and I like teaching it because there's a lot of mini lessons. So I teach the orb, I'm teaching you a trading strategy, but I'm also teaching you to sit and wait for a range or a play to set up in that first 15 minutes. And I'm teaching you how to get your orders in the market the way you want them, because like limit orders can be a lot more useful than market orders or stock market orders too. So there's a lot of different lessons that I can teach while teaching the orb because it's so specific. So I really do like that one. I'm doing some more advanced studies on it right now, so I'll share that when I have it ready. But because it's so mechanical, it's easy to program too. So it's a really good example to teach algorithmic trading, beginner trading, all sorts of things. And as a side benefit, it can make some extra money too. I do like divergent strategies. They pay me a little bit better. So that's usually my general focus. That's usually what I'm trading live. But we do check in on the orb because I do have it programmed automatically. And I don't have this pulled up and ready for y'all, but if you go to, well, my website's kind of weird this morning. I was fixing something, but bullbarbie.com, there's information about the Orbi. And if that is down for any reason, I do have a video about the Orbi, which is my bot that trades that. All right, I gotta get going with family life here a little bit. I will be back in 20 or 30 minutes to trade this thing in the Discord, so I'll drop that link. Thanks for joining me today. Turn on notifications. I'll do another one tomorrow. I'm doing these Monday through Thursday because I don't trade very much on Fridays. And I'll help y'all come up with a plan every day. And I gotta start doing a thing where y'all shout out some levels and I'm gonna track them and give some prizes. We'll figure it out. Now come join us. I will see you soon.
Burning so bright, the FOMO hit hard, jumped in with all I had. Called myself a genius, living like a financial god. Then the chart went south, not a dip, not a phase, just a free falling mess, lost in a daze. My due diligence was a meme and a hunch. Now I'm sitting here empty, eating my sad lunch. Got wrecked, yeah, I got wrecked. My whole portfolio's been disconnected. From the moon to the dirt, I'm a bag holder now. Lost my attendees, don't know why or how. Got the paper hands disease, or maybe I'm too slow. Should've sold at the top, but the green made me go. I'm a degenerate, a fool, a cautionary tale. Got no more stocks, just a broken financial pill. Saw a dead cat bounce, thought the comeback was on. Threw another 1,000 at the break of dawn. But the bounce was a lie, just a cruel quick trick. Now my account is looking sickly and stick thin. All the food was real, all the doubters were right. Now the bears are dancing in the pale moonlight. 𝗓𝗏 left in me, no fight in my soul, just a single God as I lose all control. Got wrecked, yeah, I got wrecked. My whole portfolio's been disconnected. From the moon to the dirt, I'm a bag holder now. Lost my attendees, don't know why or how. Got the paper hands disease, or maybe I'm too slow. Should've sold at the top, but the greed made me go. I'm a degenerate, a fool, a cautionary tale. Got no more stocks, just a broken financial pill. The broker's calling, the margin's on the line, telling me it's over, this ain't a good time, this ain't a hobby, this is a sickness, a curse. From the penthouse of my dreams to an empty purse. Yeah, I got wrecked, I'm still worked out, financially wrecked. Bag holder life ain't nothing to protect. Got wrecked, yeah, got wrecked. Guess I'll see you on the next pump, maybe, or not.
Yeah. It's a grand swell chain. Yeah.